We don't get a lot of opportunities to talk to Ed Dodds, so it's always interesting to do that. Ed Dodds is the assistant general manager, and so he's in charge kind of putting the draft board together, the execution of the draft, all of that stuff, feeding Chris Ballard the information necessary for him to make the right call on the 3 draft days. They feel pretty good about this draft class, feel pretty good about Latu, feel good about Mitchell. Here's Ed Dodds talking about this draft, talking about this rookie camp, talking about some versatility in a few of the undrafted free agents.
And Chris has mentioned that Latu, you feel like you come in here and be an early impact guy, whereas that can be difficult for a lot of pass rushers. What is it about his skill set that makes you guys feel that?
I think, like Matt and Turpin and Chris McGay, I told you guys, just the level of, the hand use, counters, and what's so good about him too is his balance. Like, he's always in balance. I think that's something that doesn't get talked about a lot, right? It's the 40 time and all that, but the guy's always in balance. He's able to make a move on another move. He's not necessarily eat up with just beating up the guy in front of him. The guy in front of him is an obstacle on the way to the target. You can literally see that when he's playing. His focus is on the quarterback. He's looking through you, the offensive tackle, to the quarterback instead of focusing on you. I'm going to beat you up, then go get the quarterback. That's just an innate instinct that I think he has.
How does his motor stand out on film?
It's always going. I mean, it's just something when we watched him. He was just one of those players. I mean, whatever it was, the motor, the counters. There's certain guys throughout that whole process when we start in February that, I mean, within the first 10 snaps, you're like, okay, this is a real dude. Well, I mean, even before that, I remember, because I'm doing all these other pro guys and some college guys during the year, like Terp's seen kind of the whole landscape, and I remember at the Senior Bowl, like, hey, I'm going to go down because you only get so many field passes. Who do I need to look at? And he's like, highlight some guys up with one of them. It's like, you need to look at him because he's probably going to have a really good practice and he's going to get out of here. And I'm glad I did. So I went and looked at him. I mean, and he was one of those guys, getting back to what I first started talking about, through the whole process, the whole room was kind of like, this is one of the best players in the draft. I mean, we felt that way, unified the whole way through.
What was your level of surprise that he was even there? Because you guys had a couple teams that you thought might take him, right?
Well, not too crazy surprised, but only because of the medical stuff.
Yeah.
You knew some teams are going to be different with it, and then the amount of offensive players in this draft. That's so I still didn't think he would, but I wasn't just shocked that he was.
So I guess it needed to be kind of a perfect storm for you to get a player like that at 15.
Well, we knew some of the quarterbacks were going to go that high,
right?
And then when a couple more did, and then those tackles started going, we're like, okay, yeah, we're going to be talking about this.
Yeah.
And is this sort of a perfect situation for him? Because with the group you have back, doesn't need to be projected as a 60-play guy with you. You can sort of rotate him in, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't think there's not too many guys now that are a 60-play guy. I mean, I think that's what we've been striving for, is to get a legitimate 8 guys to rotate almost like a hockey. Hey, you 4 out, you 4 in, and not have a big drop off at all.
When he misses 2 years of football, comes back, has a 10-sack season, and says he got better watching YouTube videos, like, what do you think that says about just his ability to learn and, I guess, not get complacent?
Well, I still think it goes back to just having an innate instinct on how to rush the passer. Which is, some people just have it. Some people are going to work on it all they want, and they're still not going to be great at it. They'll get better, but not great.
You guys have a history of finding guys who can be position versatile or switch positions. Jalen going cornerback, and then obviously Trent and Jason, the undrafted free agent. How do you guys identify guys who can maybe switch positions, do different things, that kind of thing?
Well, I mean, the way we scout is based on traits. You look at traits first, and with Jalen Simpson, he played safety, but he had played some corner in the past. He's got ball skills, he has speed, and he has the hips that you want at corner. And he has slider frame, so we said, okay, safety, he's going to need to put some bulk on. Can he? We'll let Mike and those guys look at his body and figure that out. But we were like, I think he can play corner and help us there. And we were pretty deep at safety, and just having you're always looking for corners. I think the whole year you're always. I mean, it doesn't matter how good you are. So just to add depth there and a guy that can run and catch the football, that's even better. And then, you know, the other guys you talked to, like Penix, I mean, he is, you know, some of our pro guys will look at all the guys that we kind of have rated as priority 7th round type free agents, and they'll help us separate them and stack them. And Andrew Hoyle mentioned, like, hey, this guy's got kind of a unique deal catching the ball out of the backfield. He's played it back there. I think he can be a 3rd down back. And that's where that one came from. Who's the other guy?
Jason Bean.
Yeah, Jason Bean.
Yeah.
So obviously
Ballard's probably
kind of got a connection to Kansas, right? So, but yeah, I mean, again, traits, right? He's long, he's fast. Like he's faster than what his recorded 40 time is. I mean, he fell down one play today. He went down the sideline. But yeah, the more things they can do, I mean, and he's going to do some different stuff for us too.
I don't remember the number of undrafted guys you signed, but I think it's a little lower this year.
Yeah.
Just how selective did you have to be? Because you have a somewhat veteran roster. You brought everybody back. Like, it's a little bit of a different situation than a lot of teams, I guess.
Well, a lot of it too is, you know, how many picks you have, and then we did sign a couple reserve future guys. So you base it off. All right, how many do we need? We talk to the coaches. Hey, how many do you want at each position? And we have our target numbers. And that kind of dictates it, and then we always know too, like certain positions, you know, receiver was one. It's gonna be harder to sign guys because you call a nation. You just drafted 2 guys, so that's it fluctuates every year. You know what it's gonna be.
Given AD's size, speed, I mean, what he did on the biggest stage in college football, were you surprised that in the middle of the 2nd round or late half the 2nd round where he went? I guess why do you think he went?
Probably just because he didn't have it was one big year, you know, he played early at Georgia, but just moving schools, you know, you're starting over. I think that's probably the biggest thing, was just they're always going to ding people on 1 year production.
What do you think he can bring to this offense, though, and also what stood out to him to make you think, okay, this is the guy we need?
Well, he's really athletic for a long guy. You know, those longer guys have a hard time getting in and out of stuff. You see a little bit of stiffness. He doesn't have that. He can get in and out. Sometimes it doesn't look like he's running really fast, but it's because he's 6'02" too. But he is. Like, if you always, like with receivers, the best thing to do, right, is go stand down and have them when they're running towards you, because you kind of feel them chewing that ground and getting on top of you. And with him, you can feel that. And he's going to add in another explosive element because of the speed. The length is a huge factor, right? Because in this league, you're covered most of the time, even when you are open. So length gives Anthony a bigger target area to get it to him. So that's obviously going to help.
We saw his edge on draft day when he was PO'd that he didn't go higher.
Right.
And now he's wearing 10, he said, because 10 receivers went ahead of him. Do you kind of like that in a guy, that he finds motivation wherever it is?
Yeah, absolutely. He's competitive.
He couldn't name the 10 guys ahead of him. I guess that doesn't matter.
No. He just remembers there was 10. Yeah.
How do you all think you made this team better for Anthony in a sense? Obviously, he's coming back year 2, but the key to this is him.
Well, I think we helped him on both sides of the ball, right? Like you add Latu and, you know, a closer on defense. So get the ball back to the offense, get it back to him, to our playmakers. Anthony Gould's an explosive player, and he's also going to be explosive in the kicking game. We talked about AD, and then all of our own guys that we brought back. I mean, the way we've built it, it's been tested over time. If you build things inside out, it's going to last. You're going to be competitive. You don't have these huge swings and rides year to year. You know, we felt strong about the roster and what we did in free agency, and then again in the draft. And I think it's just keeping him upright and healthy, and it'll be fun to watch.
So besides the health factor, what other things are you looking for him to take a step forward in, Anthony, that is, in year 2?
Obviously, just another year in the offense. You know, the more comfortable, the more he plays, the more reps, muscle memory. I mean, you started seeing it last year before he went hurt. It's just going to be second nature on, oh, that's not there, I'm coming over here, you know, instead of learning the whole time. Because that first year, you know, you're just trying to master the techniques, the offense. The second year is when you really take off.
That's Ed Dodds, and I appreciate his candor in talking to us. he is I think he's an interesting guy. And what the Colts have done, and you heard him talk about how the team is built from the inside out, which kind of causes, sort of not wild growth, not wild recession, but consistency from a year-to-year basis. That was interesting to me, and it sort of explains it in a way that I hadn't heard it explained before. And so I kind of get it at a different level, but I do know this, that A.D. Mitchell is not going to play in the middle. He's not going to play close to the ball. The ball's going to have to be thrown to him. Same thing is true with Anthony Gould. These guys are going to bring dynamism to this offense in a way that they haven't had before. And Latu is going to bring some of that to the defensive front. It's going to be very interesting to watch how this team sort of evolves toward what we're typically used to watching as far as professional football. Ed Dodds explained it pretty well.